the 416, the interview series, and today we're sitting down with Jake Sutton, a good friend of mine, and Cindy's behind the camera. And so, uh, Jake, let's just first introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about the work here that you're involved with.
So yeah, Jake Sutton, 38 years old and some change. 40's right around the corner. Yeah, born and raised here in Georgia. I'm from Adairsville, north corner of the state, and this is Marietta, which is considered North Metro Atlanta. So this is going to be a very transient area. I'm the pulpit preacher here, pulpit minister. That's my title. Um, Under some great shepherds here at Piedmont Rd. They're very efficient. They tell me, "Hey, we just need you to preach,"
Mhm.
and so it's a great congregation. They let me they very much let me preach. It's a blessing. I've had them physically stand behind me, when I've spoke a couple of times, and that's been some good things because they want some things said, and they want the congregation to know that they're 100% behind what's being said. But yeah, this is Piedmont Road. She's actually one of the oldest churches in the state. I
Wow.
think 1837 maybe, and it was first known as Pleasant Grove. But yeah, she's an older congregation. She's but very healthy, very sound. I'm thankful for that. I knew of this church growing up as a kid in Adairsville, and so it was very much country comes to town when I got here. And they're there's enough Southerners in the room that they appreciate my vernacular and my papa's Appalachia talk, old farmhand. But yeah, no, I've been preaching now for what is this, 12 years now, and yeah, I spent five and a half of that here, you know, so that's been great. I was in South Georgia before this, and then Collierville when I was in school in Memphis, and so, but yeah, this is this congregation is the best blessing for me in my ministry, and in the ministry that I know as of yet.
And I know that through the years we've talked about the work here, and we've talked about your preaching here, and that was one of the things that you've always kind of brought up and made the point. My elders stand behind me, and
Hmm.
100% they're with me, and they want me, and will encourage. I'm sure that they've encouraged you to preach certain lessons or something like that, and hey, we need to let the members know and deal with this. And so
Yeah,
very proactive seems
it
like.
is. So every year I'll take about a mm, sometimes 4 days, sometimes a week sabbatical from local work, and I just plan for the next year.
Hmm.
And we did that a little earlier this year because we're putting out an outlook book for 2025, letting everybody know what all's going on with the church. And so had to get my sermons in a little quicker this year. But yeah, I meet with them and I say, what do you know that we need?
Yeah.
What am I missing? What am I at 38 missing that you men in this room know that I don't know? And I let that serve as a barometer for my preaching. And so they're very proactive. We're very proactive when it comes to the preaching and teaching. Great educational work here.
Yeah, and I want to mention that too as well. At the very end of this video, we're going to show a video tour of the education wing, and I'm excited about it. You showed it to me a little while back, and Cindy got to see it today, and so we videoed, and I just think it's amazing what the congregation here has done, and I know that with the leadership of the elders, that's tremendous to think about. Okay, how important is education when it comes to the
Hmm.
Lord's church?
Oh yeah, and from the cradle to the grave, almost we would say it's a Paul Spurlin's over education here, and he has been for about 3 years now, and which has been great. But he just stepped right into a well-oiled machine,
Mm-hmm.
and so yeah, the downstairs is phenomenal. The education wing's phenomenal. Our teachers are great. But yeah, I mean, not just our education, but even our elders want to make sure that there are several classes offered for everybody.
Right.
So like this is a Wednesday evening,
Mm-hmm.
and there'll be a major class in the fellowship hall on study of Revelation, and then I have prayer class tonight, and then so there's 4 or 5 classes for folks to to say, I need a smaller class right now. I need more prayer right now, or I need to study something textual right now. So it's kind of, we let people kind of gauge where they are, and offer the things we need to offer. That Ephesians 4, equip the saints for the work of the ministry.
Yeah.
So we don't just say, here's the only thing you're going to eat this week, and too bad.
Right.
Thankfully we're blessed with a lot of educators and a lot of people who love the Lord, and so it just works out that way.
Yeah. So it's like a buffet. So
It
you
is.
get to choose.
It is. You want to sample this week? Go here next week.
I think that's great. Let's just shift gears for a moment. We'll come back to the congregation in just a minute, but let's talk about Memphis School of Preaching. A love that we have, certainly our instructors and our education comes from Memphis School of Preaching. So tell us about what year you graduated, and tell us something about your experience there, I guess.
Sure. Yeah. Went in at 12, got out at 14, and was able to preach at Collierville, like I said, while I was there. The 2 best years of my life.
Yeah.
As far as ministry is concerned, because it was, well, Memphis is, it's like putting your mouth to a fire hydrant.
Yeah, it is.
You're going to miss more than you get, but thankfully with good notes and other brothers, and I'm in 2 different text groups with 4 different preachers in each one of those, and I'll say, like today, I had a friend of mine, Denny Howell up at Ottawa. He said, "You got anything on anointing?" And I was like, let me peek. And of course I just sent it out to those 2 groups, and it didn't take long, and somebody caught something, but yeah, I was there in 12, 13 and 14, and so it was, love the school, love passion for preaching and for preachers and for education, and there's a lot of preaching schools out there.
Oh yeah.
And when folks say, I want to preach, what do I need to do? I ask them, what exactly do you want to do? Because there's some schools that's designed to give people a broader sense of the kingdom, and then there's some schools that's specifically for preaching. It's like if you go to a mechanic and you got a transmission issue, you want to get a guy who specializes in transmissions.
Right.
And so, but anyway, no, two best years of my life. Love the instructors, miss them, call them every now and then, check in, and but I had Garland Elkins, Curtis Cates, and some of those, and can't call those boys no more.
I know that's tough. So you kind of mentioned that, and I would guess then that's probably a highlight, thinking about the instructors. But you might have another something you want to share too, just a highlight, some of those guys that you're in school with and things.
Sure. I mean, there's all kinds of stories. Some things you can't tell. You have to go to your grave with.
That's right.
And because all their hair will fall out if you tell the story. But yeah, no.
Why do you think mine's so gray?
Yeah. Well, that's why Cindy likes it. But no, I think about. I mean, I brought up Curtis Cates Sunday morning in my sermon, and because we're preaching on the spiritual war, and there's some fights that we're not called to, that we don't need to fight, that we don't need to be involved in. And so I brought up the tar babies, and punching tar babies and getting stuck, and and he'd just say, "Brother," you remember how he was.
Yep. He was good about trying to remind us, you don't have to get in the middle of everything. You just need to stick to your work. And then when your work's done, you shake the dust off and you move.
Yeah.
You move on. And because there's plenty of other work to be done. And, you can't just stop and linger over the past as well. And he was good about kind of giving us some of those wisdom nuggets, thinking about, you've got to keep moving forward.
Yeah. And sometimes that's with the congregation. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes you outgrow a congregation.
Sure.
I see some preachers do that and outgrow their leadership. And, that's just one of those things in God's providence. He's going to take care of the faithful.
Yeah, he will. Absolutely. Well, let's shift back to Piedmont Road here for a moment. And let's think about, if you were telling somebody who's either traveling through the area and wanting to stop, find a congregation, or they're moving to the area and they're looking for a congregation, and what would you tell them, so that they would check out Piedmont Road?
Sure. Well, obviously all the things we mentioned before, and that it's a sound eldership, and we have a guy who serves on staff here, but he's also one of our elders. He takes care of all the grounds, and so you walk into this place and it's manicured.
Yeah.
Because I know you've been there. I have too, especially in both of y'all's work now. You go into a congregation and you think, who sweeps here? And if they're not taking care of these things, they're not going to take care of my soul. And so just off the bat, you walk in, you think this place is aesthetically kept up,
Yeah.
up to date, and we live in a world where that matters on some
Yeah.
level. There's some fundamentals there. But this is like I said, North Atlanta. It's not so consumed and so busy, but there's enough near here. Doesn't take long. I mean, we're 12 minutes from the Braves.
Right.
So on average, we have about I don't know about the average this year, but on average, our averages have been about 20.2 visitors a week. So that's a lot of folks who are doing, Lake Point Station ball tournaments, and they're fishing at Lake Allatoona, or they're glamping in an Airstream.
Oh, I know all about that.
But the Braves, the Falcons, the Hawks. I mean, it's Sports Central down this way. A lot of festivals, a lot of. We just finished our state fair here in Marietta. We have a booth that's there. So and this is if you want to go to a congregation where you can kind of just fall in the cracks, this is not the place.
Yeah.
You walk in and there's 5 greeters with name tags on, and that changes every couple of weeks. There's different people. There's something for everybody here. Not only are you going to get fed educationally, not only is everything going to be taken care of biblically, but when you walk into a church building and you immediately feel good
Yeah.
or warm, or thankfully folks have wrote cards after they visited and said that's the friendliest church I've ever been to. And I want that to stay that way.
Yeah.
And that starts with me, starts with the leader,
That's intentional.
It has to be, because if
Yeah.
you're not intentional, it won't happen. It's
Right.
like evangelism. If we say everybody's invited, that means nobody's invited.
Right.
You got to be targeted with certain things.
That's exactly right. Is there a difficulty because of the area? Because it is Atlanta, it is, so is there a difficulty that makes it hard maybe for evangelism, or hard for those things?
Yeah, so like when I was in South Georgia, they were real big on the newspaper down there. Up
Mhm.
here, nobody's on the newspaper.
Right.
So I don't know that it's difficulty. I think it's just you have to change
Yeah.
with your demographics. You got to find out what works and what sticks. And so, there's local schools. This is a suburbanish urban area.
Mhm.
So there's schools, there's communities, there's everything around here. So our outreach is different. There's not much benevolence, like our Lord did. He would
Right.
go in and take care of something for somebody. And Cobb County is the most affluent county in the state of Georgia.
Right.
So a lot of big money in this county. So those kinds of things aren't the approach. Now it's more of, hey, rich people need Jesus too.
Yeah.
You've
Yeah.
got your 401k and your Blue Cross Blue Shield, but you need Jesus. Because
Right.
at some point something will fail you. But no, I mean, as far as difficulties, I don't think anything major. You do have some left-leaning folks. You do have
Mhm.
some folks who they have truth is subjective. It's not objective. It's whatever they make it. So there is more of a liberal thought in bigger
Right.
cities. Um, but one of the great things about that is it encourages us to learn how to talk to folks, learn
Yeah.
how to take the gospel to people, more than just going the old conventional door knocking way.
Right.
You just got to learn different ways to get to folks.
That's exactly right. And so in the 416 Ministries, Cindy and I are trying to obviously keep preachers preaching, encourage preachers, encourage relationships among preachers and congregations, and even elders and preachers as well too. So that we do keep preachers preaching, because that's certainly important, and that's part of the work that we're trying to do. Do you have anything that's encouraged you through the years, to keep preaching, so that we might share that as well?
Sure. Well, I think of one particular a couple of instances. Probably one of the hardest times of my life. Um, that was one of the occasions where the elder stood behind me physically and told the church, "Hey, this is our man. We're not going anywhere." And but wasn't too far from that. Some of our mutual friends, Scott and Melissa Kane, they came by the church building just to visit one day, and Scott told me one time, he said, "You run with horses. You run with horses," and he's referring to an old Jeremiah passage that if people tire running, on a regular basis, how are warriors gonna war with horses? How are they gonna run like horses? And so he was just saying, you run with horses.
Yeah.
You can do this. And so having the right people in your corner,
Yeah.
thankfully, which is my leadership, and I've got 1,500 sweet old grannies and mothers and brothers out there, and we have a real good men's ministry here. And it's one of those things where not every man is invited, because not every man of the church here can hear everything, And so these are some guys who at the beginning stepped into the men's ministry, a couple of years ago, and they were on the fringe, but now they're serving as deacons.
Yeah.
And so it's just, that goes back to that word intentional. All of us are on the same playing field, and we're all wounded in some way. And just here recently, I remember one of my elders telling me, he said, "I'm thankful for the things that you go through. It makes you more relatable as a person, rather than some preachers who were up here and don't really know what suffering is. They don't know they don't know how things are in the real world." And so just to have that's been great.
Yeah. I know Cindy has a question as well.
So, well, one thing that listening to all of that, I feel like as a congregation, Piedmont Rd is knit together.
Mm-hmm.
And that's part of our 416 that we want to edify, to find your place. And y'all are helping them do that. And I think that's wonderful. But when someone is in the area and they're visiting Atlanta, they come here maybe for services on a Sunday, where could they go for dinner or lunch or something like that would be a local?
Sure. Well, I would highly suggest a place called Henry's. Henry's is Cajun. The guy's straight out of LSU. He just sold the place. He's from Louisiana, literally. He just sold the place, and he's been on Guy Fieri's show. He's been on Food Network, and Henry's is Cajun. And what's great, you go in there, and my dish that I get is called the chicken ooh la la. Okay, and you go in there, and what happened was when he opened up the place, and this is downtown Ackworth, probably 15 minutes from here, not far. He opened up the place. A journalist from the AJC, Atlanta Journal-Constitution, came in, and he was doing here's this guy, got all this education. He's certified chef. He comes in and he's trying dishes, and he starts eating this chicken dish, and he was like, "What's this called?" And he couldn't either pronounce whatever Henry said, or he didn't know how to spell it or something. He just said, "I'm just going to call it chicken ooh la la." And so it stuck with Henry, and Henry calls it chicken ooh la la. And but Henry's is great, and it's really what can you not find around here?
Yeah.
Right.
Because it's so busy, and everything is here. But that's probably the place I'd go.
And what about coffee? I have to ask about coffee.
Sure. Well, it just depends on how bougie you are. You can do Black Rifle here.
Black Rifle.
Yeah, Black Rifle's
That's
here.
my favorite.
Of course, Starbucks and Dunkin', and but yeah, there's some local roasteries. Marietta Coffee Company, it's good. It's not far from here. But yeah, just a few holes in the walls, but mostly your mainstream folks.
Thanks.
Yeah. All right, this is 416, the interview series. Of course, we'll have all the links in the description below for Piedmont Rd. And if you have any questions, certainly we'll get you in touch with Jake. But I hope that you'll come by here and visit. This is a wonderful congregation, and they're very active. And if you're looking for a congregation and you're in this area, this is where you want to be if you want to do the Lord's work.
So this is our education wing. It's our downstairs here at Piedmont Rd. Our kids will come down the stairs. They'll grab some lanyards, and each one of these lanyards has their name on them. So they also get PD bucks. So we'll talk about this later, but if they come to class with the Bible, they bring a friend, they pay attention in class, they get PD bucks from the instructors. And of course, our screens, Paul does a good job keeping everything loaded there. It flashes through what they're going to go through, what they're going to learn, K through 1, 2 through 3, 4 through 5. So where each week they go. So each week as we go through our classes, they'll learn the same lesson, but in 3 different ways. That's usually the gist. As you can see, our entire wing. So like this is the science room. They'll come in to class, and they'll throw on their lab coats. And so they'll learn a lesson, like if we do Jesus turned water into wine. So they'll come in and they'll learn all about properties and all that sort of stuff. And so they come in here and telescope it. We've got some high dollar equipment, Pyrex vials or whatever you call those things. But
so cool.
yeah, so each, as I said, each group will come in. Each teacher will only teach for not the whole quarter, but just for a few weeks. So that kind of prevents burnout. They'll teach it in 3 different ways. So science, they learn the same thing in the game room. It's kind of, we involve all kind of different aspects of teaching, of learning. Some kids love the game room. Some love the science room. We get involved with a little bit of everything. Studio 316, this is where they come in. This is the art room. So it's not your usual typical come into a cinder block room, get a sheet of paper and your Bible out, and you learn that way. So it's very hands-on. It looks like that kids decorated the walls with the paint, but
Old and New Testament.
of course,
So cool.
whole council. So yeah, as you can see, you go through the Bible as you walk, and as you can see, the carpet looks like a little path. But like at the base here, you can see a little scripture, and it will tell you what you're looking at here. And so, obviously, this is Jacob's dream and his ladder.
I just love the fact that as you're walking down the hall, you're learning.
Yeah,
It's all teaching.
it does. And so it goes. It starts in Genesis 1. And it goes all the way down to Psalm 119 there toward the end, which we'll get to, and then it comes back down this way all the way to Revelation toward the end. So this is our drama room. Our kids will act out the lesson. They all play different parts. Of course, they come in, there's a little stage and little director's chairs, and to the right you see all the costumes.
So what age does this go through?
So every age, as you can see on the door here, K through 5 is all that's down here,
Okay.
learning these things. And so some kids are great hands-on learners. Some kids are visual. Some kids, they're more auditory. So we try to implement all these sorts of things. The next room is our kind room, our kind ministry. And so, of course, it's locked, but I don't have that key. But this is our special needs room. So sensitivities, the lights are different lights in there. It's low lit. So we have 3 or 4 here at Piedmont Rd who come in, and they just come straight to this room. This is another opportunity for us to reach that community because a lot of special needs community folks don't take their kids to church. They don't go to church because the kids are going to be too loud or disruption. And so this is something that we offer here. They can come in and I guess the term is drop their kids off, and it gives these people opportunity to serve or to listen or to study or to sit and worship. You know, that's a convenience that we don't often think about, some folks not having. And this is the PR studio. A lot of different podcasts here. This says recording in progress. It's not, it's just locked. This is our movie room. So, as I said, they learn different things. So they come in and, they might watch Superbook or might watch Bible Project. But they come in and they learn. They don't always get popcorn if the teacher's feeling extra nice. I never got popcorn in Bible class.
Never.
But you're just creating a warm environment.
Yeah.
You're creating an environment that is kid-friendly. It's something that they want to be a part of. That when they see the church building, they feel good about this place.
Right.
That's it's just something we're trying to cultivate.
This is where we come and learn. This is where we come and worship. This is where we come and we fellowship. We're together, and we get to do that. And so I think it makes it special for each age group, to see that
It does.
There's a place where we get to come and we get to learn all these things. And I love how you've kind of broke down the education as far as they're getting to learn, the same lesson,
But in different ways. Yeah, so the next room, it's actually our brand new Iglesia de Cristo, but this was our Connections Cafe before the Hispanic congregation started worshiping in our building. And so their children come to our class because most of their children speak English. But they come in and they worship here. There's about 60 of them here.
Wow.
And so we get all of their children, and when we're upstairs worshiping, they're down here worshiping. We've talked about a bilingual service,
Yeah.
but they've only been here about a month and a half. So,
Oh, that's cool.
but yeah, it used to be the cafe. If we were teaching something about food or something like that, or Jesus, loaves and fishes, we might serve sardines and crackers or something
Yeah.
like that. But let the kids get grossed out. But yeah, that's that's kind of what we do here. The education wing downstairs. Each room teaches the same lesson, but they learn it in different ways, and then they'll rotate a new lesson. And so, like I said, it prevents teacher burnout. It encourages new ways to learn, and it's good for our teachers. It encourages them new ways to teach,
Right.
Get hands-on. But let me show you the teen room. It's also down here, one of the most comfiest places, of course.
As it should be, right?
As it should be. Of course, with the bright lights on, but
Oh, wow.
all the couches and the big screen TV that's there, and microwave, and yeah, this has taken shape and changed a couple of different ways, and our deacon over this group would probably be like, whoa, you didn't let me know they were going to be here. I had to clean the place up, and it's like it looks like a teenager's room in here.
That's
you know
right.
what I mean?
It's pretty awesome.
Oh yeah, it's great. They love it, and we love it. But yeah, that's pretty much the downstairs. All of our education from high school and below are here. We have our cradle roll upstairs, of course, but that's kind of the gist.
Thank you.
So this is the Marketplace Center. This is where the kids come in. Good behavior. Remember when we were kids, we used to get the little Bible stickers and put them inside of our Bible covers. I look like a brigadier general with all mine, so special. Anyway, but for here, they come in and they swap their PD bucks. As I mentioned earlier, if they answer questions, if they bring their Bible, if they're attentive in class, they get PD bucks and they get to come into the store and swap it for pencils or erasers or, but not only that, there's a contribution box that's in there. And so they get to decide how much of their PD bucks they want to give back to God. And so, which, most of the kids are all about it. Some you have to teach them how to give,
Right.
Much like the Lord is with us.
No doubt.